Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our SpeakOut series. My name is Rally Chakarova, and I'm the Executive Director of the Boat Foundation and the moderator for today's exciting discussion. The Boat Foundation has a very simple but important mission: to inspire the next generation of construction professionals right here in the Greater Toronto Area. One way to do that is to ensure that young people have the information they need to choose a career that they're passionate about and can be successful in. This new series facilitates virtual discussions on the in-demand careers in construction and how young people can get started. Each panel is made up of industry professionals, including union reps, employers, and apprentices, to provide useful insight into the education and training requirements, the physical demands of the job, what to expect day to day, and advancement opportunities within the specific construction career. I want to acknowledge and thank our series sponsors, RBC Future Launch, for their generous support of this important initiative to help close the information gap and get more youth interested in construction careers. Let's hear from our sponsors now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Beckles, and I'm the Vice President of Social Impact and Innovation here at RBC. Today, youth are the most unemployed age group in Canada, with almost 800,000 young Canadians not currently in employment, education, or training. Canada's skilled tradespeople that have long been the backbone of our economy are more critical than ever, and so is solving this sector's main challenges: the underrepresentation of women and immigrants, the need to double down on digital training, and the ongoing stigmas around trades careers. And while these challenges are significant, so are the opportunities. Through the RBC Future Launch partnership with Bolt, we aim to ensure that you understand what opportunities are available in the skilled trades industry and how to get started in a career that you are passionate about. Because at RBC, we see a future in your future.
So today our discussion will be on a popular career choice for many young people: electrician. But first, a few housekeeping notes. If you're having issues with your stream, click on the click here to refresh stream under the video player to view our alternate stream. If you're having any technical issues, click on the help button on the lower right corner of the webcast page. Your help request will be emailed back to the email address you provided. You may ask a question at any time during the webcast. To ask a question, simply click on the Questions tab and click on the Questions button. A new window will open to type in your questions. We will try to get through as many as we can today. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at what an electrical career looks like on a high-rise residential site.
The electricians. The slab crew is up first. These workers install electrical boxes and conduits onto the slab and wall formwork before the concrete is poured. They read the electrical and the architectural drawings that detail exactly where to position them. This allows them to later install the light fixtures and switches and receptacles that will be installed into these solid concrete ceilings and walls. Next, as the building rises and the steel studs are installed by the drywall trade, the rough-in crew keeps pace with the progress and installs boxes and conduits on these walls and ceilings for these fixtures to later be installed too. They run the conduits from box to box and back to the unit panel. Also at this early stage, the rough-in crew continues making progress wherever possible by pulling and trimming the necessary wires through the conduits to have them ready for future connections. This is all detailed to them on the electrical drawings prepared by an electrical engineer. They also get the temporary lighting up and running in the hallways and in the stairwells. Another major task is also underway in the lower levels of the building. The more experienced electricians are working on the power distribution system. This is where the power comes into the building and then travels through transformers and switchgear. From here, electricity is run up through the building into the electrical closets on every floor. As well, this is when the emergency generator is installed and tied into the electrical system. Making our way back upstairs, once the masonry crew builds the electrical closets on each floor, the power distribution panels are installed. From here, the distribution crew runs the power feeds from the electrical closets to each of the condo units. Once the windows are installed, the electricians can install the outdoor receptacles on the balconies. Now, after the drywall work is finished and a coat of primer is applied, the finishing crews can start their work. Typically, one crew works in the hallways and stairwells, and the other crew works inside the condo units. Let's take a quick look at the crew working inside the units. This is where you will find the apprentices. This crew installs the light fixtures, the light switches and receptacles, as well as the ceiling fans, cooking fans, and the lighted mirrors. Now, the hallway crew. They install the light fixtures and the exit signs and the light fixtures in the stairwells. On the ground floor, you can see here that the finishing crew has the task of installing these very interesting light fixtures in the lobby.
With that great visual of the work, let's meet our industry panel for today. Nino, let's start with you. Please tell us about your role, your organization, and how you got started in this career.
Well, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Nino Di Giandomenico, and I am the Assistant Business Manager for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW. I was fortunate enough, I started my career in 1980, so I won't make my speech too long because we'll be here all day, but I definitely went through my apprenticeship, my training and my schooling at George Brown College at Casa Loma, and worked through many of the sectors. I was fortunate enough to work through many of the sectors, low-rise, high-rise, and ICI. And then got hired on by the Hall many years ago as an organizer, and went back to the tools for a little bit, 6.5 years to manage a pretty big company, and then came back a year and a half and took the role as assistant business manager, and looking forward to dealing with the industry in a whole. So that's the Coles Notes version of it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nino. And it's so great to see that you can sort of jump rope from different aspects of the industry. I think that's such a great example of that. Daryl, we'll go over to you with the same question. Please tell us about your role, your organization, and how you got started.
Hello, my name is Daryl McKinnon, and I currently work for Local 353 with Nino. Right now, I'm working as a recruitment coordinator for the Network Cabling Specialist program that deals with all the communication cabling. I started my career in '99. I wanted to become an electrician. I joined the union and found out that some of the educational requirements I was missing. I was then put into the communication trade. Went back to night school, got the credits that I needed, went into the electrical apprenticeship. But the great thing that I see now is coming through the network cabling specialists is it's a big growing trade right now. And the IBEW is trying to take over that trade. And we have been training electricians for over 100 years. And we want to do the same with the network cabling specialist program. So again, I've been with the union since '99. I started in 2018 working for the local to help develop this sector and take it over. This trade's only been around for about 40 years, and it's really taken off right now where all the other trades have been around a long time. So again, I'm very happy to be here today and share all the knowledge that I have and hopefully recruit people into this, because I believe there's lots of work out there in all the trades, but the network cabling specialist trade is going to be the trade of the future, and everyone should be very interested in this program. So thank you for your time, and I'll move it on to the next.
Well, thank you so much. We'll definitely come back to you to tell us more about that exciting trade that I don't think many people are aware of. Joe, we'll go over to you for your introduction.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me here today. My name is Joe Ferreira, 309A, journeyman electrician, IBEW 353 member, as well as a general foreman for Oz Electric. I started in the trade in 2005, shortly after high school, on the advice of my co-op teacher, Mr. Ray Corchiala. I achieved my license in 2012, and after that, found my way into the IBEW and with Oz Electric, where I've been ever since. I also had the fortunate experience to go across many different parts of the sectors, low-rise residential, ICI, and high-rise, where I am now today. And it's been a pleasure so far.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Martin, we'll go over to you.
Well, first thing I wanted to thank you for inviting me today. My name is Martine Sevigny-Lamont. I am IBW Local 353 sister. So I've been in the trade for like 28 years, work on all kinds of projects, small project, big project, low rise, high rise, ICI. I just, with all those years now, I just get involved with everything. I'm on all kinds of programs. I've been judging the Ontario Scale Competition for 11 years. And now that I just stepped down, I'm working with the governments and I'm working on the translation for CFQ and the question for the CFQ. So I love my trades, and if I had to do it again, I will do it again. And thanks for having me today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm sure somebody is going to want to know where you live if you've got the answers and the questions to the CFQ exam. And Andy, we'll go over to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Nguyen. Thank you for having me here today. I am a fourth-year apprentice with the IBEW. I am currently working for Oz Electric, and I started my electrical apprenticeship in 2018. I first started off doing the Discovery Day with Bolt, and from there, I was then able to be connected to Hammerheads program. And then I went through the Hammerheads program and we visited all the locals, and I was placed in the electrical union. And from there, I was dispatched to Oz, and I have been with Oz ever since.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy, so much. And I think our audience can see sort of the big breadth of industry knowledge that we have with our panel today. So we'll dive right into the questions that we've got from the audience, even before we got started, as people were registering for this. So Martine, we'll start over to you. And let's just start off with the basics. Can you please tell us, what does an electrician actually do? And a number of you talked about the different sectors you can work in. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, for the three sectors, so I know everybody's been talking about ICI, high rise, low rise. ICIs, we do industrial, commercial, and institutional. So it means hospitals, school, big project. High rise, I think it's more geared toward condominiums, like high buildings, and low rise is house, like when they build new houses, like do the whole house wiring. What do we do as an electrician? It's so complex. There's so many directions. You can do from installing conduit, installing device, read blueprints, bend conduits, do some slab. I think your direct, usually your foreman, some of the foremen knows what you are good at, and they would direct you on the right direction for, make it work for them to put you there. With all my years, 28 years as electrician, I took mini risk class. So lots of time I've been working on fire alarm myself because I got my fire alarm ticket. So to be an electrician, there is so many directions. So it changed every day. You can be swiping the floor one day, and the next day you can be installing lights. So
well, that kind of variety is really great to hear, especially for people that want to just keep on learning and be challenged by their work. That sounds like there is no shortage of opportunities there. And Andy, you mentioned you're in your apprenticeship right now. So tell us what your typical day-to-day looks like right now, and what you're working on.
My typical day-to-day right now would be, right now we're working on an automatic climbing system, which is very unique. I haven't really been able to touch on things like that. When I did first start my apprenticeship, my day-to-day was usually getting materials for the guys, making sure that whoever needs a hand with anything, I would be there as an apprentice to give the hand for the journey persons. And now I am a fourth year and I'm able to handle a little bit more responsibility, which is what I like, to be able to just be able to work independently and not really have like somebody hold my hand all the time, but I still need the journey person's advice. And obviously they teach me a lot. And I really like the saying of like, you earn while you learn, because my day to day, I'm just consistently learning new ways to do things. And when you work with different people like we do in our trade, you learn different ways to do different things from various journey persons. But mostly I would be handling material, making sure we have enough material for everybody, and giving the journey persons a hand with whatever they need help with that we are currently working on.
Well, that sounds great because it really shows that you kind of start, I don't want to say at the bottom, but you're really starting with the basics as a helper. And then the more responsibility and the more you learn, the more responsibility you're getting to do some of these cool things that Martine just talked about. So that's great. And Daryl, I do want to come back to you because you mentioned about the network cabling specialist, and you mentioned that it's fairly new. And I think many people may not be aware that that is a career choice related to electrical careers. So how is that different from what an electrician does? And can you just tell us a little bit more about what that career looks like?
Yes, I'd be happy to share that. So network cabling specialists tend to pull all the cablings for telephone hookup to the internet. When it first started coming out, it was traditional work of electrician to put that in. But because of technological changes right now, we are not only hooking up a phone or hooking up someone to get onto a network or the internet, we are actually monitoring and controlling devices now from that. So we tend to put in quite a bit of cable connecting to everything. So it usually comes from the services coming into the building, and we kind of extend all of that stuff out. It ties in hand with electricians a lot because they do the conduit work still for this. So for instance, right now, they are starting to monitor buildings with the cabling we're putting in right now, which is very, very amazing. For instance, we go and put a light fixture in, we could put a sensor in there to lower the occupancy of the building. We could also use that for daylight harvesting and temperature control as well. So now these building operators are now to run their buildings more efficiently this way. In the past, for instance, you would change a filter for a fan unit. Once a year, you would go and change that filter. Now we're able to connect to that motor. And when the moment that motor is working harder and harder because that filter is dirty, then we change it then. So this is a really big trade happening right now. Again, it's because of the functionality of it. Again, before you're hooking up a phone, you're getting onto the internet, but now we are monitoring, controlling all the devices. And it goes hand in hand with the electrician's work, because they're going to be installing a lot of the power, but we deal with the control of that. So again, everyone wants this functionality right now, and I'm sure everyone's aware of what happened recently when we lost Rogers and what happened. So again, the IBEW is trying to take this over, and we're trying to make it a compulsory trade. So right now it's non-compulsory, no different than the welders were speaking about with Local 46 earlier. So we're trying to get our numbers up to take over the trade because we think it's very, very important right now. And again, I think it's the trade of the future right now. And again, it ties hand in hand with the electricians' work. But without the electricians putting in all the work that they're putting in, we can't come in and do their work. So typically we would come onto a job site 6 months to a year after it's done, because all the hard work that the electricians are doing right now have to get those raceways in. So we've actually applied to do the trade schools. We actually have trade schools now. We have 3 trade schools in Ontario. We're going to have a total of 6. So right now we're working on not just recruiting new people into the system, but then how do we train our existing workforce to support those new apprentices, right? Again, if we're not giving them the training and the knowledge, they will not be successful in the world. So I think this is a great thing happening right now, and I'm very happy to speak today. And there's a lot less danger, and it's a lot less labor intensive in this career. Women in the trade are very, very successful in this because, again, they can go and do the work and survive, where some of the other trades are very labor intensive. So again, like Martine was speaking about, the electrical trade is very, very diverse, and this network cabling specialist kind of came out of that. So whether or not you go through the network cabling specialist apprenticeship or the electrical apprenticeship, it's going to give you the base knowledge. And again, you could actually go and enjoy what you do, like Martine was speaking about. we have the ability here of getting the extra training in the union that we have, the fire alarm license that Martine got. I also have that as well. So again, the unions are really good right now on not only giving you the apprenticeship, but you are able to invest in yourself. And I think that is the greatest thing that the unions can give right now.
That's fantastic, and a great overview. What I really love about what you just said is it really speaks to the innovation and sustainability components to the construction industry overall, but specifically this trade here. Because if you want to fight climate change and help with those initiatives, there is a great career choice for you to really bring out those efficiencies through all of that new technology. So that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Nino, I'm going to come to you because we've been using a lot of, I think, technical terms like CFQ and apprenticeships and all of that. So let's start unpacking some of those. Can you please tell us, what an apprenticeship is? Are there any different kinds to it? And what some of the benefits to that are?
Sure. That's a pretty complex question, but I'll try my best to try to get everything in. So to me, an apprenticeship is basically learning a craft. I always tell the apprentices, this is not a job, this is a career. They're starting an apprenticeship. You start from ground zero, and you try to get mentored by your journey persons, and you're doing a lot of like Andy says, at the beginning you're doing a little bit of running around, and then eventually you'll start to get you'll just start to know the material and everything like that, and then slowly you'll get into the craft. To me, it's a great thing. The apprenticeship, you get hands-on, you get to go back to college as much as they don't say they love doing that. But, listen, it's a great trade. Like I said, I did my schooling at George Brown College, and it was amazing. So, yeah, to me, the apprenticeships are great. It's a great learning. We in the IBW, we start our apprentices. We call them pre-apprentices, and that gives them the opportunity of, we made it in the ICI and high rise, we made it a pre-apprenticeship of 1,800 hours. That gives them the opportunity to try the trade, because let's be real, they might get into it and then they may not like it, or they're being forced into something that may not be a great career for them. So they go through the pre-apprenticeship, and I haven't seen anybody leave the trade, quite honestly, through the pre-apprenticeship. They've all gone through their first, second, third terms and became journey persons. So, it's like I said, it's pretty complex. You ask different kinds. I'm not too sure about that, but the only kinds I can think of is like Daryl says, the comm sector. Ours is a totally different apprenticeship than theirs. Well, not too far off, but it definitely is a different. Again, the benefits are, you're learning a craft. In the end, you're getting some education, some training, and at the end of it, a great career. To be quite honest with you, I enjoyed the career, and financially it's great too. So, and you meet a lot of great people along the your journey and path, not only electricians but the other trades that you can enjoy the day with and get along with. So that's my apprenticeship in a nutshell.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. And Andy, you did mention, I want to go back to you for a second with your personal experience, because you did mention the term earn while you learn. So what has the apprenticeship look like for you? How much schooling have you done? How many hours? When do you hope to become a journey person? Tell us about that from your perspective.
Yeah, so I started out in 2018 as a pre-apprentice, and just like Nino said, that was 1,800 hours of the pre-apprenticeship. So after I went through the 1,800 hours, somebody from the Electrical Alliance came to site and just talked to my foreman and asked how I was doing. And they asked me if I liked the trade. And of course I did. And then they signed me up into the union. And from there, that's when I was registered as a first-term apprentice. Right now, I am a fourth-term apprentice. Actually, in August, I am going to be going to intermediate level. So there are different levels of trade school: basic, intermediate, and advanced. So right now I'm going to intermediate. I did basic last year and my third term. So I'm very excited to go to school. I know some people may not be because they want to work, but I like the opportunity that the union gives us where they're able to get us a seat at, I'm going to George Brown. So they're able to get me a seat at George Brown, and it was paid for, and I just have to be there and pass trade school. And it's, if you like continuing education and continuously learning, this is a great trade to do that in. I just want to touch on the fire alarm aspect, because I know Nino and Martine was talking about that. Even the Union Hall provides classes to get your fire alarm license. So that's something I would also be interested in. So it's just continuous learning, which is really something that has really just kept me interested in this. And if you are feeling the same way, then this is definitely a great trade for you.
That's great. And I'll just have one follow-up question. So how long is the school portion of it? You said you've already done your basic and you're going into your intermediate. So is that a continuous block of time that you're in school?
Yep. So I will be going into intermediate, which is 10 weeks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Joe, I'm going to come over to you because you're an employer in the space now. You hire apprentices and electricians, and I want to know a little bit about the nitty gritty. So what are the average hours like during the day, during the week? If you want to add on anything about the work, but from your perspective, what does that look like?
Well, the different sectors have a different schedule, varying minimally, but you can bank on a 40-hour week in the high-rise sector. We work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week on average, but that doesn't mean that's all we'll ever do. The job really dictates the schedule, and sometimes we find ourselves, into overtime at the end of the day, starting early for shutdown work, or potentially, being stuck on a slab or whatever the case may be. So 40 hours is your typical week, but that doesn't mean it's going to be every week. If you're in the ICI sector, they're on a 37.5-hour week. So you can expect half-day Fridays, or some job sites I've heard of but never been a part of, a 4-9 schedule. That's your average.
That's great. And what time does the day usually start? Is it early in the morning?
Yeah, we're usually on site for 7 a.m. and you can be packing up, getting to your car for about 3:30, and that's your average day.
Boy, you're just missing that rush hour traffic the rest of us are stuck in. So put that in the benefits column as well.
Absolutely.
Nino, I want to come back to you for a second, because you did mention how well paid this profession is and how you would be doing well. So I do want to talk about the pay structure and what the average starting salary looks like. So for example, at the pre-apprenticeship level, and then what is the earning potential? So as a journey person, or maybe somebody like Joe's position as a foreman, what does that average look like?
So in front of me, I have the pay scale. I don't know it by heart, so I'm going to have to read off my my phone here. So we'll just start off. I probably missed something on the apprenticeship. Obviously we have our pre-apprentice, then we have our first term, second term, third, fourth, and fifth. So the first term would get 40% of the base rate. The next one would be 50, 60, 70, and 80% at the fifth term. So our journeyman rate right now, let me just open this up a little bit, is $58.50.
That's $58.50?
Yes.
An hour?
Yes.
Excellent.
And our foreman would be $67.28. Our pre-apprentices is $20.48. And then it moves to $23.40, $29.25, $35.10, $49.45. So at 80%, fifth term is $46.80. But understand something, Raleigh, that's just our base rate. So the union has we have our benefit plan, we have our pension, we have 3% RRSP. So if you look at the end of the column with all in, it gets a little scary for the contractors, quite honestly, but the journeyman rate starts at 87.52 full package, and the foreman is 97.86 full package. So, I mean, like I said before, that you can make a great living out of this trade, and that's.
Well, and you know what I love as well is not only are you earning while you're learning, as Andy said, but you are incentivized to keep on learning and keep on advancing, because you don't have to, hassle with your employer or anybody else to get that promotion or get that raise. It is all very nicely structured, so as you earn your hours and you progress, you get a higher rate, which is, I don't think many industries can really say that. And not to mention, and Martine, I'm going to come to you next from the women's perspective, but from a pay equity, I did not hear journeyman or journeywoman, and I didn't hear different rates between the journeymen and the journeywomen. So talk about pay equity between that and being ahead of the game. So Martine, I will come to you, and I don't think it's a secret that women are still very underrepresented in the construction skilled trades. You've been in it, you said, for 28 years, so you're very much an early adopter. So tell me a little bit about your experience as a woman in the profession and what that's looked like, and what some of those changes that you've seen in your time have been like.
Oh, in my time when I used to walk on site, sometime I was the only woman with like maybe 2,000-3,000 men. It was kind of funny, but we have come a long way. Not enough. We're going step by step, little step at a time. And I think our unions has got lots of good women. And I think they're pushing to get more women. I know on my side, I've been working a lot with the OBCT, Ontario Building Construction Tradeswoman. I do info session for a woman that wants to join the trades. There's so many new avenues for women to join the trades. And I would say in all the years that I've been in, lots of our good sister find other job, because I got some of my friends that now they're electrical inspector, they're working for the labor department, they're working for the city on streets. Lots of our women kind of direct herself other way, but we still got lots of women on our union that they're foremen. I've been a foreman before. And like you said too about the race, like our salary, we are the same. We're equal pay. We're a journey person. It doesn't matter if you're a female or a male. You are a journey person. This is a career that I decide to do. It's the same salary as everybody. We're all equal. So
perfect. And let me. Oh.
And to say, like, I know on your question, I say if I would, send a woman there anytime, and I do all the time. So
you would recommend this to other women as a career?
Of course I will.
Full steam ahead. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that perspective. I think we've really gotten a great idea now of what the roles look like. And I really want to change directions and address a lot of the questions that have come in, which is how to actually get there. So Joe, I'm going to come back to you, and I want to hear from your perspective as an employer. What makes a successful electrical apprentice? What do you look for when you're hiring new people or taking them on? Are there any basic requirements? Do they need to be certified? If you can just speak to that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. On a site level, a lot of that background work is done before they get here. Fortunately, we're a union shop here, so a lot of that happens through the union first. They get registered, they get membership, and they make their way onto a site like mine. So when I get a new apprentice, I think one of the most important things, mechanical aptitude is very important, of course, but that's something that we can refine with you. I think the most important thing that I would say is an excitement and a willingness to learn. Like has been mentioned a lot of times here today, an apprenticeship is more than just a job. It's an education, it's a career, it's your future. It's also a responsibility. Safety is huge. And so taking time to understand and respect safety guidelines is paramount. And taking the job very seriously. Like I said, an excitement and willingness to learn, because someday down the road, it's hopefully going to be these apprentices that are bringing up the next generation as well. And so as journey person, it's our job to give them a well-rounded apprenticeship, and it's their job to make themselves available for that knowledge and to build the relationships required on site with the various people that they'll be working with, so that they want to teach you as well, you know, because people spend a lifetime gaining the knowledge that we have as electricians. And, you know, we want to know that the people that we're passing down are going to do the right thing with it. They're going to work safe, they're going to work smart, and they're going to raise up the next generation as well. So it's a lot built into the package.
That's great. And I love that you talked about, and Nino and Daryl, I'm going to come to you in a second for those technical requirements and the basics, but I love that you talked about a lot of the foundational skills that, you know, the successful apprentice is open to learning and open to the mentorship that, you know, exists on site from the journey persons and the people with so much career, and really the attention to detail, because you know, safety is paramount on site, and we will come back to talk a little bit more about that. And Joe, I'll come to you for that health and safety question to unpack it more. But now, to stick with the basic requirements, Nino and Daryl, maybe Nino, we'll start with you, and then Daryl will come over to you. What do you look for when you're assessing new applicants to join the union? Are there specific basic requirements? Are there prerequisites that you look for that they may already have? And a very popular question that has come from the audience: do you need to be good at math and even physics? So that was a lot of questions into one, but Nino, I'll start over with you to talk about that.
Wow. No, that's those are great questions, and absolutely. So I'm going to try to make this as brief as I can. So my career started in the non-union, and I had to do my apprenticeship just going in blind. The Apprenticeship Act, the requirement is grade 10. I went to trade school and struggled. I could see the union brothers and sisters in my class just breezing through trade school. And I had a really tough time getting through, but I got through, thank God. So I've been on the Apprenticeship Council for about 20 years now. And it's not an easy thing to say to the young men and women that are coming into the trade that don't have our prerequisites, which are math and physics. So we, as the council, required it because we found in the past if we were letting them in without, we'd see a really massive failure. Our failure rate was, actually, let's say our pass rate was about 60%. By pushing, the envelope to the math and the physics, we brought up our pass rate to 80%. So do they all like coming in with it? No. Some, we allow them to come in and give them a little bit of time to get it while they're doing their pre-apprenticeship, as if they're coming in for a pre-apprenticeship. And getting back to how they get in, they get in with, there's multiple ways to get in. They can come in as we do an intake. We used to do it annually. Now we do it quite often because the manpower is very short out there. So there's an intake many times through our apprenticeship office, and they can come through a contract, through a sponsorship. So those are the ways they can get in, and that's probably the meat and potatoes of it for sure. But that's how you can get into our apprenticeship.
No, I completely understand, sort of raising that education bar to set up people for success so that they can continue, as Andy said, continue through the intermediate schooling, pass their certificate of qualification and actually be successful. And just to clarify, so the math and physics, is that still at the grade 10 level, or is that the grade 12 level now?
No, it's actually the grade 12 level, yes.
Great. Yeah. And what about English? Because, we are a country of immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself. So is there an English requirement as well for that?
Years and years ago, if I recall correctly, that was one of the prerequisites, but it's not with us right now. I mean, if they're struggling with English as a second language, we will help facilitate anything our apprentices need. The apprenticeship, the Alliance is there to accommodate anything they need. So. And we also have Saturday classes too that the apprentices are. It is mandatory. That's another thing they kind of don't like to spend a half a day or 3/4 day Saturday. But in the long run, you know what? They thank us. At the beginning, they want to, they look at us a little awkward. But when they're done their time and written their CFQ, they're pretty happy of our system.
Of course. No, thank you for clarifying that. And Daryl, I'm going to come back to you. Is that are there different requirements for the network communications specialist? Are there lower? Are there easier? What does that look like on your end?
Well, the Apprenticeship Act actually says that you need a grade 12 high school diploma to come in as of grade 10 for the electrical. In 2018, we brought the Network Cabling Special Apprenticeship over to the Training Alliance, what Nina was speaking of. So we set the same standards for them as we do for any electrical apprentice. I mean, regardless of what apprentice, what sector they're in, we want them to be successful, and we do ensure that they can be successful. And like I've said before, you know, the IBW has been doing this for a very, very long time, and we see where we need to support these people. Again, it's just a matter of making them successful in the first 5 years, and then they're going to have a great 35-year career after, right? And like Nino said, you know, they may not understand the process as they're going through it, but once they're successful at the end, they do understand why we did what we did. So not much requirements, same as electrical, and math is definitely important. The main thing we need to understand is that we are going to be installing things that electrical engineers design. Sometimes mistakes happen. So without us being educated and how these systems need to be installed to codes and standards, we can't actually fix that issue. So again, for our network cabling specialists, we train them how to do conduit fill. They are not allowed to do conduit, but they should be able to go on the job site and see if that conduit is not adequate and make sure it's changed before we come back on the site and install our cables.
No, that's great. And we, again, as I said, we will come back to the health and safety aspect because I think it's so important here. But from what I heard from both of you is there is support that's available. There is academic upgrading that people can go through. And quite frankly, I mean, from a personal perspective, I would like my electricians to be well educated and know what they're doing so they're not getting hurt and they're not setting my house on fire. So thank you for those high standards, and thank you for also the support that you provide to help people meet those standards. All I heard from you is you really need that commitment and the willingness to learn, and everything else is there for the support to make them successful. Andy, let's come back to you with your personal perspective on this. So you're in your 4th year. What have you found to be the most challenging as you were getting started in the apprenticeship and progressing through the apprenticeship?
The most challenging thing before I was an apprentice would be trying to find an employer to register me. That was quite difficult because I didn't know about Bolt or Hammerheads. So I went to the apprenticeship office and just asked questions on how do I get started in this apprenticeship, because there weren't really any like resources back in 18. And so I got a couple of pamphlets, but I didn't really know. I contacted some employers, but some of them required me to at least be a first year before they would hire me. So I was stuck at that point, and that's when I did the Bolt's Discovery Day, and then I was then fortunate enough to be enrolled into the Hammerheads program and graduated from that. So that's how I got into the electrical trade. I know some people that got in through their family members and then gotten sponsored, but I was then able to be dispatched, and that's when I got into the IBW. But another thing was I did not have grade 12 physics, but Hammerheads actually facilitated continuing my education. And then I would go to night school 3 nights a week, and I would then eventually write my grade 12 physics exam. I passed, and that's when I was then able to be registered into the union. So that was one obstacle, and other obstacles would just be, I would say, finding the time to really write notes down on what I've learned so I can kind of retain the information, because so many things happen throughout the day during the workday, and it's kind of hard to remember a lot of things. So a piece of advice that I would have is get a notebook and try to write down what you do every day. That goes in hand with our logbook that each apprentice has. So you have to log what you did that day, the hours that you spent doing that, and then get your foreman or whatever supervisor to sign off on that. And then you would be submitting that to the Electrical Alliance. So that would help with that.
That's a really great tip. And I'm just so glad that we have great young people like you in the industry, because it would have been a shame if we weren't able to get you in. So personally, I'm just thrilled that there's supports out there. But I have to say, you did it all. It takes it has to come from within, that drive to want to succeed and want to learn and want to build a career here. So thank you for that wonderful advice. I will come back to all of you to hear what you have to say to anyone who's interested in getting started. But first, Joe, let's go back to the health and safety. I mean, there are live wires, there is electrocution and other workplace accidents that could happen. Let's talk a little bit about the health and safety aspect of this job and how we make sure that everybody stays safe on site.
Well, first and foremost, I believe every electrician will agree. The first rule of electrical is do not work live. That's number one. All of our workers, before you can step foot on a job site, are certified in WHMIS, safety awareness in 4 steps, and working at heights is a minimum. Those three right there, they're going to give you the basics that you need to at least manage, to get a good foundation started on safety. And then a robust safety program. As far as on my site, we do every single day a talk in the morning, at least one pointed talk per week on a specific job site hazards. And it's a continuous, nonstop analysis if there are hazards on the job site that we need to be aware of and to make each other aware of. Safety is everybody's responsibility, from the pre-apprentice all the way up to the general foreman, the site supervisors, and beyond.
I love that. Safety is everybody's responsibility. That's exactly the key takeaway, I think, here. So I think, and our RBC sponsor did mention a little bit about stereotypes. And I really love this question because I'm so curious, what have you come across? I'd love to hear from all of you. What is something about the electrical career that you had heard about, or maybe that your family or friends thought about, or a stereotype that turned out to be completely wrong? So Andy, you're nice and fresh. We'll come to you. Then Martine, Joe, Daryl, and Nino will go to you. So what are some stereotypes that you believed or your family and friends believed that turned out to be completely wrong?
One that popped up into my head was that electricians don't clean up after themselves.
And it's a stereotype. You do clean up after yourselves?
That is a wrong stereotype, because I like to keep a clean workstation, because then I would know where all of my tools, materials are, instead of having everything just there and not organized. And at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to clean up our material. So that stereotype is incorrect.
Thank you for that. Martine, we'll come over to you.
Oh, I never heard anything like saying that I can get electrocuted. But, like Joe said, we never work a life. By law, we're not supposed to work a life. Only when you're troubleshooting, you'll work a life. And sometimes you're working life because it's an hospital that the power cannot be shut down. But, I never got electrocuted. But the safety is so hard in a construction site. And I always said I used to be a safety rep, and safety start by you first. Be safe to make sure that everybody's safe around you.
I love that. 28 years, never have been electrocuted. That is a fantastic, myth buster on that one there. Daryl, what about yourself?
Well, I think the only thing I heard is, coming up as a teenager, kind of doing those odd jobs, was, electricians get paid very well and they don't work very hard. This is a very labor-intensive job. I could say that for myself because I started my apprenticeship in a refinery where you kind of deal with a lot of rigid pipe and a lot of heavy work. So again, it is a little bit labor-intensive. You got to understand that you need to work, but at the same time, as you move throughout your career, you get smarter, and the smarter you get, the easier you make your jobs. And there was a saying with my last employer was work smart, not hard, right? And one great thing that I like about our construction industry and working on the job site is we do everything by committee. Everyone, whether you're 1 day on the job or 30 years on the job, you ask that question, everyone is willing to help and everyone wants you to get home every day safe. So I could just let you know that, again, if you have any issues with anything, just speak up about it. You have a voice, right? So I just suggest everyone just be active out there, be vocal, and be an active listener. I asked a million questions when I was an apprentice and it drove everyone crazy, but I need to understand what I was doing and people need to understand what they're doing. I'm not just going to install a pipe from A to B. I need to know what that pipe's for, what's being put in there. And that's where our education and training will come in.
I love that. Ask a ton of questions. Joe, a stereotype over to you that you thought about the career or that family and friends thought?
Yeah, well, somebody already mentioned it earlier that one stereotype is that all we do is plugs and switches and light fixtures, and that's definitely not the case. I don't know how many times I've heard from people outside of the industry, oh, just connect it black to black, white to white, and you'll be all good. It is a complex, diverse, and a huge industry. You can work your entire career in residential low rise, and the black to black, white to white is your day to day, and you can work your entire career, 30, 40 years, and never wire a house, never touch a stick of conduit, or never be on a slab. There's so much in this industry that it's not small, it's not pointed, it's very big, and I believe there's a place for everybody.
That's fantastic. I love that. In our plumbing episode, that was actually one of the biggest stereotypes. Was everybody thinks that we work with toilets, and I got to tell you, my entire career I've never touched a toilet. So that's a great one. And Nino, we put you in the toughest spot here at the last spot. So a stereotype that you had heard about.
Okay, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I don't mean this in any chauvinistic way, but they definitely call us prima donnas on a job site. They look at us like, and I quite honestly, I think we are. I think we're one of the elite trades. No disrespect to my plumbing friends and sheet metal friends and everything, but our job is a little bit more finicky and dangerous. Let's be real about it. So they always call us the prima donnas. We need all our areas nice and clean before we go in it, and so that's our stereotype that I've seen in my career. But definitely that's one of them for sure.
You know what? I heard that you take great pride in your work, so I love that, and I can obviously see how passionate all of you are about this career and about attracting more people that want to build their careers into the industry. So we're almost out of time here. I do have two very important questions for you, and maybe Daryl and Nino, we'll come back to you, and then Joe, Andy, and Martine, if you want to jump in, please feel free to. But how do interested individuals get started? What do they do first? Daryl, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have is we have the Apprenticeship Council, which is www.electricalapprenticeship.ca, and that'll let you know about all the educational requirements and let you know about the intake process. So the first thing I would do is I'd visit that website. I would see when the next available intake is, and I'd see what the requirements on there. Because sometimes people don't have the education requirements. That doesn't mean you can't go and get it and reapply. I've dealt with several people that have applied 3 or 4 times over and finally got in because they met the requirements that we have. So again, that's exactly the first thing that I would do is see the intake and also reach out and try and speak to anyone that you can through the industry. Again, this is a great trade. I think any trade is get into. And one thing that I find amazing is that I'm able to drive around this great city and point out to my friends and family the buildings that I've helped build. And I mean, you see those buildings to the last days on your earth that I helped build that. And that's something to be very, very proud of.
Absolutely. And, I love that also as a piece of advice. Check out the basic requirements, see what you might be missing or where the gaps are, and, sort of make a plan on how you're going to get there if that's the case. And wonderful resource. And we'll share that in an email after as well, so that people don't misspell it or anything like that, and know where they can go. Nino, anything to add to that in terms of getting started?
The only thing I would suggest is, and we're reaching out to the schools now and trying to talk to principals and counselors over there to talk to students about future careers and what's needed in the career, and so they find themselves a right path, because not everybody is made for wanting to be a lawyer, a doctor in university and everything, but this is a great trade. You get a lot of education, the college and everything. So what I suggest is do your homework. Make sure this is the right career for you. It's not a job, it's a career. And that's what I did. I did my homework, and that's what I chose, and I was proud of it. And 42 years later, I can honestly say I enjoyed it, and I hope Andy enjoys it as much as I did as a career and financially too. Let's be real. So.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great segue into our last section here, which is, and Andy kind of kicked off. Oh, Martine, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something like, of course, it's a good career. And like you were saying, how to get people involved. I'm trying to get women. Of course, I'm a woman. I'd love to see more women on site. So the OBCT, I do info session every month for women that want to join the trades. And we're not just about electrician, it's about every trades. We got lots of women there. We do mentorships. And what Nino was saying there, we just started talking about it this month. About going to school, and a letter is going to be sent out to all the school, and I'm willing to go and start talking to grade 7 and 8, because I think 7 and 8, it's kind of where you start thinking about what you want to do. So, and maybe before, next year, we'll be in those school, and I will be talking about our trades. So, and get more kids involved to make sure that the new generation knows that, okay, we see dirty people at the bank, but my paycheck is not dirty. It's a good job. You make a good money. So it's just construction. So
I love that. And I love that you said at the bank, depositing all your checks.
Yep.
Well, that's fantastic. And we're going to wrap up here, and I'll just give 30 seconds to each of you. Andy got us started. Andy, maybe you have another piece of advice. Otherwise, you can just summarize what you said earlier. But what is your advice to anyone who is interested in pursuing this career? So 30 seconds, you can just summarize a point you've already said. If you have something else new, that's great as well, whatever comes to you. And Andy, I'll let you start us off here.
My biggest piece of advice would be, if you wanted to get it started, educate yourself, just like Daryl said. Go on the websites, check out when the next information session is, and check out when the next intake is, and make sure you have all of the requirements prior to applying. But my biggest piece of advice is just perseverance, because I started out really not knowing how to get in, but I just knew at the end of the day, I'm gonna make it there. So I just had to jump through a lot of hoops, but I eventually made it in, and that's just keep on persevering, because you will make it in if you put in the effort.
Andy, your inspiration. Thank you so much. Joe, we'll go over to you for your piece of advice.
Yeah, thanks. So Andy hit the nail on the head. Perseverance is number one. Start early if you can. Talk to the right people, and even talk to the wrong people. I was fortunate that I talked to some people in school. They guided me towards electrical, And I took that advice and I ran with it. Like he said, it's not always easy, but I can promise you 17, 18 years later, it is worth it. And you'll have a good, solid future with a lot that you can count on being well.
I love that. Nina, we'll go over to you for your piece of advice.
On time, work hard, and work safe.
I love that. Martine, over to you.
I would say the same thing as everybody. Never give up. When I talk with the people, that wants to join the trade, I always say, I'm going to put the wheel on the wheelbarrow, but you're the one pushing it. So you have to keep educating yourself. And like Nino said, in time, get to your work and be safe.
Thank
and
you.
Have fun.
I love that. And have fun. That's right. And Daryl will give you the last word.
I would just like to say, just invest in yourself, right? You can do a trade, get a trade license, your name is on it, and you could head anywhere, So again, just invest in yourself and take advantage of this great thing.
That's perfect. Well, that's all the time that we had for today. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of the series. And be sure to keep an eye out for our next one that will discuss careers in the HVAC. A recording of this discussion will be posted on Bolt's YouTube channel, as well as the SpeakOut page on our website, boltonline.org. I want to once again thank our industry panel who took time out of their very busy days to share their insights, experience, and advice. Thank you all and have a great day.